Okay, for today's project, we're going to spell out Merry Christmas in bubble letters. And we'll add some shading, and then we'll draw a wreath and perhaps some other decorations if we have time. And then, of course, it's always nice to color it. So to get started, you need your paper in the portrait direction, which is up and down like this. And I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to make my M about 2 fingers tall. Now there are different ways to do bubble letters, and if you do yours differently than I do mine, that's fine. For the M, I draw the side pieces and then I fill in the middle. Now the E's are a problem. They're kind of hard to do. And so sometimes my lines will run together and then I just have to finish it like that. And maybe you know a better way that'll work. But a lot of times I'll have to go back and make some adjustments to my E and erase a piece here and there. The R is like this. Now it'll be great if these line up at the bottom. And if they don't, it's okay. But it'll look better if they do. Now we'll just take our time. And if you get behind, it's okay. We're just spelling out Merry Christmas. Okay, for the C, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put a dot at the top and the bottom. Since there's not a straight line, I'm just going to mark that, and then I'm going to make my C. Like this, and if yours is different, that's okay. Now I am drawing with a pencil because bubble letters can be a little tricky sometime, and if I draw with a pen, then I'm going to be stuck with lines that I need to erase. Okay, again, it would be good if the bottoms of these letters lined up. It would be good if the tops of the letters line up also, for the tall ones. And that looks a little bit far spaced, but I'm going to go ahead and finish it. S's are a problem, so I don't even fight with them. I just go ahead and make a regular S, and then when I loop this around, I just let it run on to the old line, and then I loop the bottom and let it run on at the top. Now if you're ahead of me, that's fine. If you're behind, well, that's okay too. Don't be in a rush, because the letters aren't going to change. So if you have to come back to it, you can just pick pick up where you left off. Now with enough practice, a person could probably get this to where they could just do it quickly and easily. I don't do a lot of bubble letters, so I still have to think about what I'm doing as I go. Once you do so many, it just kind of becomes natural. I can see my M's a little small, but once again, it's not a big enough problem that it needs to be corrected, because these are just hand-drawn letters. There's another S. Now I'll give you just a minute to catch up if you need to. And then we're going to add a little bit of shading to these first 2 letters. That is the first letter of each word. Alright, so wherever you're at, just stop. As long as you got, the M and the C, you can follow me now. You can go back to those. I'm just going to thicken in the line on that side of the M and just come around the bottom a little bit, not a whole lot. You don't want to go up that side. But over here, and just look where if your letters are drawn a little different, we want to shade in everything that points toward the bottom or is on the left side. We want the shading to go on the left. This one we get a little bit. This would get some. You can just follow me. You don't have to think about it. Just copy what I'm doing. And then you don't have to think about which side to put it on. The thinking will be on me, and if I get it wrong, then it's not your fault. Alright, now the E is a bit of a challenge. So just follow me on this. It's a little more complicated to get the shading on the E. And I have decided just to go ahead and do them all. The M looked pretty good, and I think we have time to do this. I'm just watching the time. We're still in really good shape. So I've decided just to go ahead and shade in all of the bubble letters. Don't get carried away with the shading. We're just thickening the lines that point toward the bottom or that are on the left. So now this, see, it's on top, it wouldn't get shading, so it would gradually show up. That's why I'm saying just follow me, and if I get it wrong, it's on me, not you. But even if we get some of the shading out of place, it won't hurt it too much. I'm going to try not to. But sometimes small mistakes don't really hurt the picture that much. This is cutting down the amount of time that we're going to spend on the wreath, but it's going to make the letters look really good. And I always like to include some shading whenever I can, because shading is what separates your art from a line drawing to something that's a little more natural or realistic. Okay, now if you didn't finish spelling out Christmas, then you may need to do that. And when we start working on the wreath, you may just have to stop. Just go ahead and shade in whatever you've got drawn. If you got them all, that's great. I just don't want anyone to feel rushed. And if you're watching this individually and not with a group, you just pause the video. I'm just putting a little bit of shading under the letters too. And shading also gives me a chance to make some corrections if I've got something that doesn't look really good. Sometimes when I add the shading, like I did right there, I can change the shape of that letter a little bit. And this shading shouldn't be on top of that. It should have really started down there. But it's one of those times where I say, it's not a big enough mistake that it's going to make a huge difference. So there's Merry Christmas in 3D bubble letters. Alright, now for the wreath. Okay, just stop on this and let's move down and draw a wreath. Now mine's going to be pretty big. I'm going to mark the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to draw a circle. Now I draw very, very lightly. If you just put your pencil down and you press down and you make a line, you just run with it, that's going to be really hard to correct. And when I do a circle, I like to sketch very lightly until I get it round. Then I can darken it, but I'm never going to darken this one. See if you can even see that. I'm never going to darken it because it's a wreath and I don't want a solid line going around the outside. And then there's going to be another circle in the middle of that one like this. Alright, now we're going to put a bow. Okay, should kind of look like a donut. I hope you drew lightly. If you drew dark and you're worried about it, we'll still make it work. So don't worry, we'll still make it work. First I want to go right up in here and make a bow. So I'm going to start with a circle. And then I'm going to give it 2 lines like that stretch out. 2 more from the lower part of the circle that stretch out. And you can see now why I drew so lightly, because a lot of this is going to be erased. So then I get a hold of that and bend it, bend it, bend it, and then I bring it back like that. I bend this, and then I come around and bend it back up. And the bow is a little bit lopsided. That side's a little bigger than this, and I could take the time to correct it, but it's, again, one of those things, it's going to be okay. I go in here and make a loop-de-loop, and I do the same thing on this side. I go right here and make a great big letter L, and then I back up and go left. Hook on, go back to the circle, hook on, go back to the circle. The simple bow, but it's a decent bow. It looks good. A few details to show the puckers where you draw things together. You know, you get the little wrinkly things in it. Maybe a few there. Yeah, maybe. Okay, and we got the bow. Now, I'm not going to do the little twiggy things yet. I'm going to go ahead and put some binder on this. You know, they have some kind of rope or some kind of ribbon to hold these things together. Because if you have, you know, these limbs and branches and twigs, you have to have some way to hold those things into a circle. And this is usually done with wire or ribbon or both. And it's kind of reminding me of a piece of peppermint candy right now. And that might be too many, but maybe not. Okay, so, oh yeah, I'll close off the ends of those. Like so. And then I want to put some little nuts and berries and maybe an ornament or two. I like to draw these acorns because it's like a flat line with a rainbow and a little stem, and then the acorn just has that shape. I got a little extra line in here. I like acorns. Or berries, and sometimes I'll draw the berries in clusters like this. And sometimes you'll see them maybe just individuals spread out. You can do different decorations on yours if you want to. And then we just start putting these little marks like this. And they go every different direction. There's not much of a pattern to them because they just go everywhere. Now, if you wanted to get a little fancier, you could draw an individual twig and then put, like the needles on it. That looks great. If you want to do the advanced wreath, then do more of that. If you want the basic wreath, then it's just like flicks, flick, 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 flick. And you could do a combination. You could do some like that. You wouldn't want to do them all that way anyway. It wouldn't look right. It would look too structured. And these aren't. They're just like this. Now this will take some time, and we're running out of time. So we'll see how far we can get with this. Now, you may not be able to keep up with me, and who knows, you may be ahead. That's fine too, as long as you're doing it and you're satisfied with it, doing it the way you want it. That's fine. This is why I didn't want these circles to be dark, because I knew we were going to go in here and make these lines like this. Here's some advanced design elements for those that want to do the more advanced. You just put those in every now and then. You can even go back where you had some, where you've already done it, maybe add one here and there. It's just repetition. Do it, do it, do it. I haven't been counting, but I expect I've done a couple hundred already. Now the good thing is, if you do these dark, and these should be dark, when you color over it, you see me capping off the ends of these ribbons that I forgot to do earlier. When you color over it, they'll show through. If you use a light green, now dark green, it might show through some. If you use a lighter green, then they'll show up very well. And these dark lines will darken your light green, so it should still turn out okay. I've drawn many of these, and I usually use the yellow green instead of the darker green because it turns out better, at least in my opinion. Alright, I didn't put a lot of those little berries and nuts on there, but I think I got enough. And one thing about those, it gives you a place to use nice bright colors like red, or leave them white. I think I like them red. The acorns are going to be brown, which should contrast a little bit with your yellow green. So I think all in all, this is a pretty good looking bow. Now I guess we could make these little marks for a very long time. And it's the part of art really that's a little mundane. You're like, okay, I don't really want to sit there and make marks forever. But when you're doing a piece of art, sometimes you got to do the mundane stuff, the stuff that's not so fun, along with the stuff that is fun, in order to get the project finished. There's usually a part of every picture that I'm dreading, like, okay, I wish I didn't have to do that, but I know I have to do it in order to make it turn out, so I just do it anyway. Alright, that might be enough. I guess it looks like a wreath. Now, we don't have a lot of time, but if you wanted to draw a couple other things around it, stars are cool. The neat star is drawn like this, but sometimes I do it without lifting my pencil, and that just comes with practice. Stars are so easy to add in, and they generally look good, and they're very, very acceptable. Okay, but if you want to draw the basic star, which is an A with long arms and crossovers, that's fine. And there we go. From there, it is ready to color. Oh yeah, and here's you an outtake. It's something I cut out of the video that you didn't see when it happened in real time, but here's an outtake from what happened earlier. Whoa.